Welcome back to A Minute with Alan. This is about exceptions. There are always exceptions. I mean that positively, not negatively. I mean there are always exceptions. One year we were going to Nantucket and we had a late ferry. They couldn't get us a better ferry and so forth. And I saw something on the horizon and I said, well, is that a ferry? They said, well, that's the cargo ferry. I said, does it take cars? I said, yeah, we put on some 18-wheelers and things, but if there's room, we'll put your car. And we got there early in the day. You have to ask if there are exceptions. And so, Wiley is one of my publishers, John Wiley, and they're great. And I published a lot with them, and they're a first-tier great publisher. However, they told me a year or so ago, through my agent, that they were no longer taking on business titles. They were taking on novels, and they were taking on things, but no more business titles. So, what can you do? You go elsewhere. I mean, I published with McGraw-Hill and Taylor and Francis and so forth. But my agent got in touch with me and he said, look, I have 3 daughters and they all have marriages coming up. He said, which of your books can we sell? I said, well, I've been thinking of, this book sort of, McGraw-Hill's not interested in another $1 million consulting. I mean, it's in the 6th edition. Right now they're not interested in the 7th. Thinking about another book along those lines. And he said, well, what current books need more? And Getting Started in Consulting is one of my 4 bestsellers. And it's in fourth edition. Maybe they need a 5th. So Jeff comes back to me and he says they want a 5th edition of Getting Started in Consulting, and they want another book on making 7 figures, like $1 million consulting, but they want to call it that because of the McGraw-Hill franchise. He said they're suggesting 7-figure consulting. I said great. And it's a completely different book from $1 Million Consulting. I've made it very philosophical, and I've started with the basis that you're going to make 7 and maybe 8 figures. That book is already completed. It was not due until, the end of this year. I've already done it. It'll come out in January. Getting Started in Consulting, I am 6 chapters out of 10, I think. And that'll come out in March. And that's ripping along. I said to Jeff, what I really want to book what I really want to write is a book called The Courage of Your Talent. But you didn't like it. You don't want to represent it. I can't get it sold. He says, well, send it to me again. I remember it. So I did. Gets back to me the next day. He says, this is great. He says, I rejected this? I said, yes, you did. He said, I must have been having a bad day. And so he said, okay, put together a full proposal. So what I'm telling you is never give up. There are always exceptions. You apply for a club membership, you apply for an apartment or something, you get turned down. Same thing with the proposal. Somebody had a bad day. Try it again. All right? It can't hurt. And, well, hell, I could write a book about that.